Zach Elliott at Feel Free to Argue. Hopefully everybody's doing okay this morning. I've had what can only be described as a fabulous morning. Fabulous, fabulous, fabulous. I've been really enjoying, as much as you can, reading the reports from the Afghanistan war logs, as they're called by The Guardian. For those of you who haven't heard about this story yet, the first segment of the documents that are most likely leaked by Manning from the military. The first installment of those relating to the war in Afghanistan were released over the weekend. They were released in multiple places. They were released by Der Spiegel, the German newspaper, by The Guardian, and by the New York Times over here. And want to talk a bit about them, about what's in them, about the response, and kind of do a little bit of, preliminary damage control, in terms of the response. So first, in terms of what was in this, these leaked internal memoranda. It's a total treasure trove. Now, even though this is a fairly small fraction of the amount of documents that Julian Assange says they have at the moment, and is less than half of the stuff that Manning confessed to sending to WikiLeaks in his conversations with the guy at Wired that he was corresponding with, the reason why he got caught. Just an amazing amount of information in these things. Not anything that's terribly surprising, I guess, to people who are regular viewers of my channel. Not really even so much surprising to me, but the depth of information, the quality of the information, the undeniability of the information, I think, has just been ratcheted up way, way, way up through the ceiling relative to where it was before. Let me give you a bit from a Guardian editorial from yesterday. The name of the article was Afghanistan War Logs, the Unvarnished Picture. Here's a section from the middle. The collective picture that emerges is a very disturbing one. We today learn of nearly 150 incidents in which coalition forces, including British troops, have killed or injured civilians, most of which have never been reported. Of hundreds of border clashes between Afghan and Pakistani troops, two armies which are supposed to be allies, of the existence of a special forces unit whose tasks include killing Taliban and Al-Qaeda leaders, of the slaughter of civilians caught by the Taliban's improvised explosive devices, and of a catalog of incidents where coalition troops have fired on and killed each other or fellow Afghans under arms. Reading these logs, many may suspect there is sometimes a casual disregard for the lives of innocents. A bus that fails to slow for a foot patrol is raked with gunfire, killing 4 passengers and wounding 11 others. The documents tell how, in going after a foreign fighter, a special forces unit ended up with 7 dead children. The infants were not their immediate priority. A report marked "No foreign," not for foreign elements of the coalition, suggests their main concern was to conceal the mobile rocket system that had just been used. Yeah. And I'm sure we didn't want anybody else in the coalition knowing how badly we'd bungled that. Or anybody else, for that matter. Now, the predictable response has been that, we're very upset that these things have been released, and that, people's lives have been put in danger. And this is, of course, as Glenn Greenwald has pointed out on his blog several times, he's commented extensively on this matter. This is what is always advanced as the justification, and it is almost never true. It is almost never true that actual lives are being put in danger. What's really in danger is the veil of secrecy surrounding the incompetence of the prosecution of our war in Afghanistan. And that is really what is at risk. I mean, there's been extensive vetting of this information, first by WikiLeaks, and also for the last 2 weeks by the newspapers involved in releasing this information. By the way, I love it that the New York Times was kind of forced to go along with this by the fact that other people were going to be publishing it in other countries and they were going to be outside of the purview of the United States government. This keeps the New York Times from sitting on the information, as they have shown that they are perfectly willing to do whenever the government asks them to. But now, since there's no way that the U.S. government is going to be able to stop this, I think this is the part of the brilliance of the way this information was released. The New York Times has to go along because it doesn't matter if they don't release it, the information is going to get out anyway. So they just go through their own independent process of kind of vetting the information. I'm sure they're going to turn up exactly what everybody else did, that it's valid information. So I'm going to go back now and I'm going to read more of this stuff. I'm going to post links to, particularly The Guardian has done a very good job in terms of putting this information in a way that you can access it easily, and explaining what all the various, components. They have special little areas where they talk about, explaining the military jargon that's used in a lot of these forms, interviews with lots of principals. There's lots of really good history on the Guardian site as well, and I suggest everybody dig deeply into this information, because this is your country, this is your war, this is what you're paying for. And hopefully with now this information getting out in such an extensive way, in such an undeniable way, we can finally start having a conversation about ending this fucking war and, getting out of there and saving the lives, saving the money, and saving our image as a country. If this doesn't do it, then I don't know what will. Honestly, I don't know. Because it's hard for me to envision anything more clear. But who knows? Maybe more stuff is coming. After all, this is only less than a half of what Manning says that he sent to WikiLeaks, and it's less than a tenth of what Julian Assange says that he has now, because he says he's been inundated with information, which they are now checking. So, more revelations about the venality, stupidity, and incompetence of U.S. policy upcoming. We can start changing now based on the information we already have, or we can wait to be embarrassed further. I guess the choice is ours. This is Zach Elliott, and you can always feel free to argue.